Hello everyone, this is Ashish. Welcome back to our podcast. Today we are going to talk about a highly requested topic, long time coming. I'm going to talk about AI, the birth of new careers, and the death of the old ones. Now, I made a community post a few days ago asking you guys what you really want me to talk about when it comes to AI, your questions, what's going on in your head. And I got plenty of those questions. And like always, I segregate into different sections so that we have a structure to our podcast. And in this one, we are going to talk about first how to use AI, then get into how to use AI for competitive examination, because a huge subscriber base that I have are preparing for entrance examinations like ITJ, NEET, and then government job examinations like ISRO, BARC, engineering services, and then entrance examination for higher education like MTech and IITs, for example, GATE examination, which also is an entry to other public sector undertaking jobs. So to focus on that, it is extremely important, especially because things are changing in that domain as well. And then we are going to talk about how to pick a branch in this day and age, because my responsibility over here is not to prepare you for the industry we have right now, but especially for people who are getting into universities for their undergraduation. My responsibility would be to prepare you for what happens 4 years later. And that is the reason why I did not just jumped over this topic, say a year or two ago, and let's talk about AI because everybody is talking about it, because I usually let things to settle down before I make my opinions outside in the public world. So I've been using AI a lot for the past year or two, like everybody else, and I've been in industry as well for the same period when I've been using AI, and I've seen changes in the industry as well. Now, everything that I'm going to talk about over here is going to be based on my 10 years experience of working as a mechanical engineer. I know it's sometimes difficult for you to believe, but I'm not really that young. I've graduated in mechanical engineering in 2016. That means I've had a long 10 years of experience working as a professional mechanical engineer. And no, I was not someone who got his degree a lot earlier, for example, at 14 years old or so. I just look younger than most. I attribute all of it to fine genetics. Now, next, we are going to talk about the branch to pick and then the impact on freshers. Now, this is the main important juice of the whole topic. The entry-level jobs are pretty much gone. And the more I talk about how AI is influencing the industry today, the more you are going to realize that, oh, this was obvious. Yes, this is the reason why I'm having such a tough time finding a job as a fresh engineer or as an intern or so. And it's not my attempt to demotivate you. I just want to show you how the industry is changing and also what you can do. And that is why it is dying careers and birth of new ones. And your role as an engineer or a scientist is going to change quite a bit, in a sense that you still work the same, but you would be taking more responsibilities, because the smaller or the repetitive or the things that could be automated, those responsibilities have been taken by AI, whether it be your chatbot or it is your AI search engine or your AI agentic coding. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep on using the keyword AI to refer to all of them. And we are going to talk more about it in detail, how freshers can cope, and not only just cope, but if done rightly, dominate the industry, because you just have been given with a new technology. And that is the end of it. If you really want to think of AI, I don't want you to think about it like, oh, it's going to eradicate all the jobs. Oh, AI has changed everything. Oh, we are not going to have any jobs. AI is going to take control. It's not really that big of a deal. It's just a new technology that has been given to you. And if you look at just 30 years of history, it has happened over and over again. It was first with internet, where people moved from library to search engines, and then it escalated to a point of more and more automation. where repetitive things, the taxes and just pushing the paper and doing the same thing over and over again were automated. And that was, say, 2008 onwards. And then a minor in different sector, a revolution happened with YouTube, and everybody thought that, oh, the traditional media is dead and everything is now going to be YouTube. And then other social media platforms came in, and in the long scope of things, all you'll see is that this was just advancement of technology. Just like cell phone came into the picture, and you're not going to that PNT landline. Most of you Gen Zs don't even know what that is. Or email is in the picture, so you're not going to send fax. Now AI is in the picture, so anybody can make a software, anybody can write a code, or make AI write the code, or make a software. So it's just that incremental step. It's a very significant one, but it's not as significant as many of you guys might be portraying it. So once you bring it down to that level, that is a technology, the question comes, how do I use it? And that's what I'm going to be focusing on a lot. And then in different segments, like how you can do the same for competitive examinations, and then what are the impacts on various sectors. Like I'm also specifically going to talk about what is going to be the impact of government jobs. Some are thinking that government job is the only safe job now. Well, there are truth and false information related to that, and I'm going to focus a little bit on that. And then, since I come from mechanical engineering background, what is going to be the impact on mechanical engineering and these core branches. Again, there's a group of people who are thinking that, oh, mechanical engineering is now safe because all the coding is being done by AI now, and so computer science, IT, and all these are dead or going to be dead. And another set of people are believing strongly that this is the cutting edge technology, so software engineers are going to keep on having jobs, right? So people love to generalize things and put things in buckets, but what I try to do is bring it down to an individual, like what you specifically need to do. And that probably is going to be tailor-made for you, made by you. I'm only going to give you my learnings and understandings of how things are going on right now. And then finally, I'm going to make a bold prediction. Like I said, I waited on making any kind of opinion or suggestion on AI for a long time, but now I think I'm seeing things happen, and both from the hardware side and the software side, I'm going to talk about what is my bold prediction and something that I've not seen anyone else talk about. And we are going to get going with starting with the first topic, that is how to use AI. Now, the first question that comes to people in STEM field or science or engineering is that, is there even a point to understand any concept anymore? Should I even bother learning Newton's first law, second law, or should I bother learning about first law of thermodynamics? Should I understand the concept of laminar or turbulent flow? Why should I? Because any question that I have to solve now, which is a technical question, I can always give it to a chatbot, and the chatbot can give me an answer within 1 to 2 minutes. Now, this is the exact thought process that will make you replaceable by AI. So you're thinking like, oh, AI can do that. Then you should think about what AI can't do, and that's what you have to do. So let me give you an idea. And Indians have a very tough time understanding this because of the whole examination system. You probably will be in your mid-20s by the time you understand this. So if you're not, let me give you forecast of the future. So in industry, the real life problems are never going to be one of those numericals that you can solve within a minute or two, right? And that is why industries will have zero attention towards everybody who can solve those problems using AI. And you can solve them and trust AI to know the concept only if these are small problems that can be solved within minutes. In industry, the real life problems are generally solved within weeks. These are massive problems, a lot of times spanning different technologies, different geolocations, and involves multiple people to be working at the same time. Over here, your job would be to think. Like, you would be leading the problem, leading the solution, and then leading the whole architecture of how you get to the solution, starting from a problem. And this requires a lot of thinking, and a lot of this thinking is dictated by the conceptual understanding of the problem itself. So think about it. If you don't really understand the concepts of thermodynamics and fluid mechanics, you won't really be able to spot a problem or an improvement into the cooling system of, say, a thermal power plant. So once you understand those concepts, you create a problem statement that this is the improvement, or this is the problem, now this is the solution, and the solution will be based on your understanding of physics and mechanics and engineering. So this is not what AI is doing. This is what you are doing. This is the capacity that you have, that at least till this day, AI does not. It does not have the mental bandwidth that you have. You can switch from fluid mechanics to thermodynamics to mathematics quickly based on your, say, 5 years of understanding and experience, but AI can't do it unless you direct it to. And yes, you can completely let it go wild and give a problem. It will keep on trying to solve it. And if you're in, say, agentic coding, you keep on pressing on enter and it keeps on going. And like a lot of times, like how many times you have seen, like 1 hour later, nothing is solved. Because if you keep on doing it blindly, it does not really have that bandwidth of switching from one field to another and having all those check boxes of the things that I need to check. So now that you understand that yes, concepts are important and you having technical deep understanding is important, what does AI really do? So AI just helps you do that faster. Say you have to research on a particular topic. Yes, it can do that. You no longer have to do Google search and then go through page after page and read it line by line, going through all that bullshit advertisements. You no longer have to do that. Well, argument has to be made that pretty soon the chatbots, or already many chatbots, have already integrated advertisements, but the websites were done, dude. The advertisements were so bad. It's like one scroll and 3 advertisements. You no longer have to do that. It will go through 10, 12, 50 different websites. All you have to do is give the right command, like go through these, and then you can fact check it. You can say that only have these authentic websites. Say if you have to do a research in transmission design, then you can only go through SAE websites or pages or papers, or these are the authentic websites that you should look at. And that's that. You can set the boundaries, and then the research is much more quicker, like 10x quicker. And that's where you save the time. Say if you have to do a quick automation, the agentic coding can do that for you, but you will have to come up with the problem statement, the idea of how you should solve it. Like for example, if it is a quick software, like okay, UI shows an interface to the user, it takes data from the user, sends the data to the cloud has my model, runs the cloud run, and processes the data, sends it back to the user's UI. That's a very simple architecture. Yes, agentic coding can probably do that within half an hour and you'll be having a running app, right? But generally problems are not that simple. There would be 10 different features, should be working for 10,000 different users. If it is a real application or a software that is actually something that someone would pay for, and then there would be bugs that you have to solve, and there would be a lot of testing and trials. So that is a real problem that you will have to lay out the architecture for software engineers. For hardware engineers, say you are designing a rocket, then yes, you can ask for an initial brief attempt or the idea of how a rocket would be designed, but you really have to have your own understanding of what is practical, right? So you can do this. Have AI make a 3D model of a rocket with the fuel tanks and the nozzle and the gimbal and all of those things, right? It'll probably miss out a lot of technical detail and many things would be wrong. And you have seen a lot of technical videos made by AI having these problems, right? For example, I saw a funny video of a boxer engine with pistons going all over the place. Like, that is not really how mechanism of a piston would work, but AI does not understand that, and it would make that based on your commands and its initial guesses. So what I'm trying to say is that you, being a hardware engineer, will probably have to lay out the architecture yourself, and it does the micro tweaks and adjustment or the calculations that you would have done, but it is something that computer would do faster. And if you would have done it 10 times, it's better if computer does that. So this is the point where you are starting to understand why I was saying that the entry level jobs are replaced by AI. So take the examples that I already gave you. For example, the research. This is exactly what an entry-level job or the intern would do. And a senior engineer, a supervisor, or a manager would look at that research and ask questions like, where did you get that idea? Or what is the source? What is the citation? I don't think that is actually accurate. Look at the author. That is not really accurate. This is contradicting. And you would be guiding that intern like, hey, do this again. And this time, make sure that you only go through these websites which are authentic. And the intern goes and does that, right? So now you, as a fresh engineer, that manager does not really need you to do that, because he can do that in 5 to 15 minutes on his own or her own, right? Now, for example, like the minor coding, like automation or making the UI, or just minor things that is like a nut or bolt of a giant software. Yes, that is what entry-level engineers have been doing, or software engineers have been doing, and now agentic coding can do it in less than a minute a lot of times. So that role is kind of gone. So what do I do? Am I doomed if I enrolled into engineering and 4 years later when I graduate, I really have no place because this industry has no place for engineers? Yes, no. I mean, fresh engineers are going to have a tough time if you are going to act like a fresh engineers from 5 years in the past. Now, fresh engineers nowadays are almost expected to act like senior engineers, and that's not really as difficult as you think. The same tools that the managers or the senior engineers who hire you are going to have are the same tools that you have in your hand too. So there's actually nothing stopping you from acting like a senior engineer. But then again, the core concept comes into the picture that you will need to have that concept. So if you have that conceptual understanding, the thinking ability and ability to lay out the architecture, whether it's software or hardware, you can state the problem and you can give the direction of the solution, ask the AI to give a better solution, but then again, have the thinking ability to say that this solution is not as good as the other, or say the AI gives you 5 different solutions and you have the thinking ability what is actually feasible, what actually works in the real life ground level scenario, or what works for the problem that I have. Because remember, the only things that AI actually know are the things you tell them. But how many times have you just told everything to AI? That in that case, you literally have to copy your mind to AI, and that never happens. So it is already working with limited amount of knowledge, and then it gives you that solution, and then a wider knowledge base is in your head, and you're like, oh, you did not think about that, so here's an input, now think about that, and then it improves it. So ultimately, you are the one thinking, and those people who think that AI is going to think for me now are the ones who are going to be replaced by AI for sure. So from now on, the next time you use AI, whether it's chatbot, agentic coding, always think about this. What is my place in this industry? And that is to think. So if you think about it like that, AI is nothing but a technology that has been added to the industry. And all you have to do is simplify the labor work that you have been doing, simplify those monotonous work that you have been doing, and do more interesting work of creative work where you're improving. What are you talking about? The entry-level jobs. There are people who haven't even graduated and directly got a job as a CTO or a CEO because they started their own company, because they were doing the thinking, and they were not only working at senior manager level or senior engineer level or tech spec level or a director level. They're working at CTO level. They employed the agents to do the job for them. They were working at CEO levels, and so they have a company now. So it all depends on how you're thinking and how you're employing AI, or are you letting the AI employ you? So that's how you should be thinking about using AI. And now let's really get down to the root problem. By the way, I have questions that were in the community post, and I'm going to put some of them on the screen. Nikita Panasa, hopefully that's the name, is asking a few questions in the line of the impact of AI on freshers, and how can you actually use it, right? So now let's come down to you actually learning the concept. So we were talking about how conceptual understanding is so important for you. Actually, it's now more important. So earlier, if you did not have conceptual understanding, you could actually get by doing the bullshit paperwork, because the managers would still need people who does not have that much brain power, but you would be doing repetitive, monotonous job like making quotes and all those things and talking to people, and there was still room for that. But now that's all being automated, and all for good reason. Things have been automated since freaking 1950s, and it's only now that we have reached that point where automation can actually automate things, if that makes any sense. So you can't really get by being an engineer doing monotonous work anymore, because that monotonous work has been taken over by AI. And now if you start blaming AI for taking your job, you need to start asking questions. What jobs were you really doing, and was that really a job of an engineer or a scientist? And if not, then hey, time to level up. All right. And it's very, very possible. And that's what I'm saying. In doing so, in that path, AI is actually going to help you do that. And how is that? So you want to understand, for example, the concept of deflection of beam. You are in third semester mechanical engineering, and your professor is absolute garbage, and he does not know anything. He just completed a PhD from a random university, got a job of a professor in some private university that you are in because you never paid attention to earth science during your high school, and now you are stuck in a bad university. That's the story of every other household. So let's say you are in that situation. Now you woke up finally because you watched Talk 4712 and decided that I'm going to focus on my conceptual understanding, and I'm going to understand how deflection of beam actually works. So you're going to ask your chatbot, your favorite chatbot, say ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. You're going to ask, hey, how does this really work? Where do I start? So probably it is going to give you an understanding of cantilever beam with fixed support, with a point load, right? And it's probably not going to make a mistake over there. But the more complicated the question gets, so you're going to then ask a question like, why is it actually deflecting? Why is it not rigid? And then it is going to get into the Young's modulus, and then it is going to get into the Hooke's law, and you're going to understand stress is proportional to strain. And then you are going to ask like, hey, I don't know what stress is. I don't know what strain is, right? So then you're going to ask two questions: explain stress and explain strain. It's going to do that. And then you're going to ask further, more detailed questions. It's going to say stresses force per unit area, and you're going to say that, oh, but that is what I was told that pressure is. So it is going to explain even further. But the deeper and deeper you get, you need to start challenging AI more and more. Like, what is your source? If the source is MIT's official website, it's probably right. If the source is some source of some official theoretical book, then the source is probably right. If it is NASA's website, it's probably right. If it is IIT Madras, it's probably right. If it is some Amol teaches mechanical engineering.com, it's doubtable, right? No doubt on Amol. Actually, he might be a very proficient mechanical engineer, but I have never heard that name before. So you need to start asking, who's Amol, right? Is he even having a background? Oh, Amol actually used to be a scientist at DRDO. He worked over there for 5 years, and he has a social media presence. This is his LinkedIn, and like, okay, I can trust Amol now, right? So challenge it more and more, because it is going to make a lot of mistakes. Now, I come from 10 years of experience. I've worked in top research organizations, BARC, ISRO. So when I start talking to AI, I catch a lot of mistakes that it makes. I have also given it the problems directly and solve it. And pretty much every time so far, what we have, at least Claude 4.8 level, it has almost always given me semi-correct answer, or there's some mistake or the other, and I always have to correct it. Like big problems, if I really give you like one of the most difficult gate problems, or some of those entrance problems for jobs and all, I've seen it making a lot of mistakes. So then I correct them again and again. So you need to be very wary that it is making mistakes, or it is very possible for it to make mistakes. If you have that down, then you are in the right path of using AI to learn concepts. And of course, this is not a replacement to what you have got traditionally. For example, this is not the replacement of your textbooks that you need to study to get your graduation. This is not a replacement to professors. This is just, think of it like a teacher sitting over there with some good amount of understanding and is there to help you out. And if you have that professor understanding, or understanding from your professor, or understanding from your textbooks and your workbook exercise problems and all, then you can actually challenge it. Like, hey, this is what I studied. And maybe you'll find out that, hey, your professor was actually wrong. And this happens all the time, right? How many times we have sat in a university classroom and we found out that professors were actually wrong? It has happened to me many times. So that is the point where you actually have better understanding than what we would have had in 2013. So this is how you should be using AI to learn concept. And this is also how learning concept is still the king, and how it is going to become more important than before. Now, we are going to get into the impact of AI in government jobs, and after that into mechanical engineering. All right, so impact on government jobs. So I have two questions over here, both of them on two different sides of the fence. Is government job future of India? Because it's a safe and work-life balance. Due to AI and competition, there's huge, you get the point, right? The rest of the question is on the screen. The second one is that I want to become a BARC scientist. Will scientists get affected by AI? So this is what you need to understand. I'm going to talk about government jobs as a whole, and I'm not only going to stick to, say, ISRO scientist role or BARC scientist role that I've had experience with, but also like all the other government jobs, going all the way down to state level government jobs and all. Is government job one of the only safe jobs remaining? I think the answer is yes. And that's again a bold answer, but here's what I see is going to happen. And I'm again not trying to terrify you, but I'm trying to make you aware, because that's what I think my job here is. So why do I think that other jobs are going to get less and less safe? Is it because of AI replacing humans? Part of it. See, the truth is that AI is doing a lot of work that earlier people would employ engineers or interns to do, right? We already talked about it. That means that the company is now going to need less people to do the same work, and there's 100% truth and fact over there. Startups don't need a 40 people team right now to be catering all across a state or a country, because less engineers or less people can do more. And is this something that has never happened before? That's not true. There has already been websites which would now be doing your accounting. There have been websites that would now be doing your banking. There have been websites that will now do your online transaction. There have been websites which will get you a quick doctor. So so we have been doing this for a while, and there has been services that would now not need to have companies employees. For example, companies have been hiring HR people for a while. They've been hiring consultants for a while, so they don't really need to employ as many people, and the company itself can be light and not think about benefits and retirement plans. So I see that happening more and more. I also see more and more startups coming up now. Already, I think you must have gone through the data. The number of apps on App Store just doubled across the last year or so. So there are more and more people who now think that they can run their own company, and I don't think that they're wrong. But that means that there would be increase in the number of private sector jobs. But also, just like I said before, these companies don't really need as many people. So think about it like this. Like, there are 50% more jobs, but all the jobs are going to need 80% lesser employees. So ultimately, if you're going to think about it, the number of jobs available will be lesser. This always leaves an option that you can start your own company now, because again, the entry level barrier of starting your own company is a lot lower now. But again, not going into circles, the private jobs are probably going to keep on aiming towards automating most of the stuff. Like, even if you speak to someone who is working in Google, their 9 to 5, or a lot of times 9 to 9, is mostly automating stuff. So if an engineer, all he is doing is automating stuff, then that role is going to end pretty soon, because at one point things will be automated, right? Trailblazer employee will probably have next role to be working on, but that's just 2 out of every 10. So I see more layoffs recently, and I think this is the reason behind the layoffs. It's not AI replacing everybody, and in some ways it is that too, but in the ground root level, in simple terms, this is what is happening. And I'm seeing this happening right now from my experience. So yes, if I had to give like a concrete answer which is data backed and something that I've seen from my experience, I would say that private jobs will have less security, but also, like, for hyper ambitious people, it is also a huge opportunity. Because think about it, if you are able to do the job of 10 people, you'll probably at least be paid thrice of a single employee. So your chances of making big bucks have also skyrocketed. And say you are having multiple jobs and most of your job is done by AI, then you can get double or triple the income that you were getting. So there are opportunities, but again, I consider them to be like the top layer of the employee ecosystem. And so these people would have found a way no matter what, but their ability to now make huge amount of money has also increased. So it depends on you. Are you one of those hyper ambitious people who just would like to do a 9 to 9 or stay in the office or work all day, or you're one of those who would like to have some family time and some chill time? So that brings me to government jobs. Now, the government jobs are being influenced by AI. I was speaking to one of my friends who is in Indian Railways right now, and he's like, dude, yeah, AI is going to get here and some of it is getting here, but it's going to take a long time. I mean, if you go to some state government office, you're probably going to find out a lot of them are still working with papers and registers, right? And and again, one of those doomsday philosophy where AI just takes over. Dude, I'm going straight to some Indian village because that village has no AI interference, probably. So India in the ground level, a lot of it is still manual and it will remain manual for a long time. Another thing is that when you talk about America, they have a problem of having less people. They have always had. That is why America has vending machines to get Coke and Pepsi, and India has your shopkeeper that can hand it over to you. India has never had a shortage of people. So for Indians, automation and implementing AI and LLM and everything is actually a capital investment they can't really justify because they can get it done much cheaper. And also like the minimum wage system and all in California or other states in America just kills the employer, and they always have this requirement of having less and less people. India does not really have that problem. So when you get to the root of it, and still a huge amount of Indian industry is government owned, bringing government jobs, I think it's going to be relatively safe. And when I say safe, it's mostly me saying that the changes are not going to be that dramatic. So private sector jobs are also safe. The only problem over there would be that you have to evolve very quickly. So private sector, because it's a lot of time venture capitalist money, or a company that is going to die out if there's no profit, they are going to try to make themselves as lean as possible, and they are going to try to minimize their input. And a lot of companies, the major amount of capital that goes off the company are towards the salaries of the employees, and that's why you see huge amount of layoffs when the company is having a bad quarter or two. So I would say that in that sense, a government job is definitely going to be safer, right? And it's not something new. I mean, if you would have asked me 6 years ago, I would have still said the same thing, like, yeah, government jobs are safer and private jobs are less safe. But I would say that more safe and less safe is becoming more and more safe and less safe on the two different sides. So yeah, that's my take on how the government jobs will be impacted. If you really want a safe life and you do not need, you only need money that you need, not the money that your greed needs. So government job would be great for you. And also, like, there's a misconception that government job does not pay well. And this is one of the discussions I was having with, again, one of the undergraduate students who was like, yeah, I want to do government job, but I don't really think that they pay well. And I was like, man, I had 2 different government jobs, and in total, like over 3 years, I was having government jobs. And I never once felt like I don't have enough money. Never. Actually, like, especially by the time I was in like 1 year over in ISRO, I was always like, I don't even check my bank account. I just spend money. Because like a 23, 24-year-old guy, what does he really need? And yeah, I can understand that as you have family and all, things might change, but how much though, right? Because it's safe and the salary is going to keep on coming, and it's not really a small salary. Matter of fact, if you just go by the facts, the entry-level salary of a government job is almost always more than entry-level job of any private sector. It's only that the increment is lesser, you don't have options to switch that much, and even if you switch, nobody cares. Government jobs have fixed salaries for a fixed level, so you're not going to have like 50% hike or something. So that's why eventually, like 5 to 10 years down the line, private sectors causes you to earn more, and you can always like be in government and switch to private. Many of my friends did it. I did it. So it's possible too. So early phase, I would say, do what I did. get government job in early phases, earn good amount of money. You are on the top of the chain when it comes to earning, especially if you get like a group A gazetted officer post or something like that. And then 25, 26, you start thinking about, if you need more money, then what you need to do, right? So I don't want you to have that feeling that government employees don't earn much. And of course, they earn much more in other things like perks that they get, right? So make your decisions accordingly. So I would say that government jobs is safe and will remain safe, and it has been safe before as well. I've said the same things 3 to 4 years ago as well. Private sector has more growth. Government sector has, like, technologically, you being involved will always be lesser because it's a vast system most of the time. In a startup or a small company, you'll probably have more ownership. So if you're looking for that, then that's another reason many people switch and go from government to private. But let me know if you would want me to talk more about that. I've made a whole different podcast dedicated on this topic. I'll link it down in the description box. Now let's get into the next topic, which is impact on mechanical engineering. Now, again, two school of thoughts. One that thinks that mechanical engineering is evergreen and it's one of the last branches that will be touched, and the second one, which is like mechanical engineers would be replaced as well by AI. Now, my 10 years of experience, all of it has been mechanical engineering. Most of it has been hardware mechanical engineering. Some of it has been software side of it. So this is my understanding, and I will be leaning on the first case, where I think that mechanical engineers would be one of the last engineers that would be replaced. And that is also saying if all the engineers would be replaced, which is also a big question. I don't really think that is going to happen. But mechanical engineers, just because of the sheer nature of their job, what mechanical engineers do, like hardcore mechanical engineers, they usually are on the shop floor, or they are building stuff, they are building prototypes, and a lot of it is manual. I'll give you an example. For example, a vehicle has a harness that connects the ECU to say the steering system, and that harness has like 5 different clips that it needs to go on body or chassis, and it's so small. I would say like 5 millimeter or 6 millimeter diameter holes that through which that clips goes. And when you clip in that harness, the amount of waviness that it has and how you package it according to the systems around it usually cannot really be dictated by AI. You can't really upload a picture of that into chatbot or something like Claude and expect Claude to be giving you expert opinion. That's not even documented. That's mostly experience. People spend 2 to 3 years of experience of understanding how to package that harness in that situation, in that environment. So those kind of things, highly doubt that anybody can replace it anytime soon, if ever. For example, being in the shop floor, for example, if you're managing process, if you're managing the OPEX cost and all of these things, understanding the cycle time and minimizing that, there are, humanoid robots that are said to be in the factory floor. Highly doubt it. It is ever going to be there. If it is ever going to be there, I don't think it's going to be there in the next 10 years or so. I've seen how they work, and doubtable. Again, like if you're building vehicle, which like the world is building hundreds of thousands of them every day, you would need an operator to put that same clip in for that harness, and I highly doubt that anytime soon that would be replaced by humanoids, which brings me to, that's the job of the technician. That's not what an engineer is doing, but the engineer is managing that technician and is optimizing the cycle time, is optimizing how many vehicles I'm producing in an hour or so. So again, it's also very ground level. You're at the ground level, working with these technicians, you're working with the managers, you're working with the director above you. So a lot of it is social, a lot of it is physical, a lot of it is visual. I don't think that is replaceable. Now, there are sides of mechanical engineering other than this. For example, now we start coming to the design side, and that's where it starts to get more and more complicated because you are now entwining the computer into it, and the moment that happens, then AI's impact becomes more and more. So say the CAD system, someone is designing a model in CAD, or someone is doing a CAE analysis in CAD, a structure analysis, a computational fluid dynamics analysis. Then this is like a general workflow of design of any system. You would be coming with a concept, a design release engineer would be coming up with the concept, the architecture engineer is going to look at the whole system and how that small component goes over there. Once everything is looking good in paper, then you would be sending it to a CAE engineering team, and these are the software domain that a lot of people are working constantly to automate. Now, can you do all of it automated? Probably not. I guess, like, if I am in a new age startup that makes rocket engines, and I am a design engineer, I probably can't just give a prompt and say that, hey, make a thrust nozzle for this rocket with this much amount of thrust, this much amount of temperature reached, and these are the fuel and oxidizer that would be used. It's extremely difficult to do that. But when you bring it down to the smaller and smaller problems, that, hey, this is the diameter, this is the length, just make this thrust nozzle. So you no longer need to have an engineer that is going to make dots and then connect it with spline and then do a revolve command and then make a thrust nozzle. Now that is going to be done quicker, which means less engineers would be needed to do the same job, because the same engineer can do what was done in 2 hours now in 5 minutes. So obviously the managers and the directors are going to see, hey, why do I need this one guy to be doing all of it, or just one nozzle? Give him the gas generator or the turbine as well. Let him do more of the work. That means the one guy who was doing gas generator and turbine doesn't have a job, right? Or that has your job and you don't have a job. So anything that is now connected to computer, people are trying to automate it. AI is already trying to think what mistakes you can make or suggestions that can make your work quicker, or you can give a prompt and it is making it. Like, I saw it from my own eyes that people are now trying to automate CAE analysis, and now it is in the CAD itself. So the same design release engineer who would now make a design and then send it to a CAE engineer now can do the CAE analysis himself or herself. So that means that CAE engineer probably does not have as much job security as we had before. Now, this is something that is years in coming till the point we are able to do it, but people are working on it, that I know. And so that means that sooner or later it is going to be quicker and lesser people would be needed to do the same work. And that is why, like, every time someone asks for career guidance, I say, like, yeah, if you're really looking for that security where you don't have to put as much energy and work to keep yourself updated with the latest technology, stay more in the hardware side. And also you need more conceptual understanding over there. So if you are going to use AI for research or design development, you still lead the concept. That is what we started with, and you let the AI do your job faster, so you have more ownership and you do more work. Software and all, yes, things are going to be automated, and then more people are going to need to automate it further. So that means that the same person who automated till this point needs to learn how to automate it further now. So that means constant growth and development. So there's a side of mechanical engineering that is very irreplaceable by AI. For example, another example is sales. Like you might not know, but mechanical engineers do sales, a lot of them. Like that would be B2B sales, components, and global supply chain managers and technical project managers. These are all involved in a lot of social activities like talking to suppliers, talking to OEMs, and these are also mechanical engineers who are, again, like AI cannot do that job, right? You need human interaction, you're doing physical transactions. So it's, again, not something that is very replaceable. But then there's a side of mechanical engineering, or even civil engineering or electrical engineering, that is very software oriented. So that is like, you are not really replaceable if you keep on upgrading yourself, but if you want to chill out and relax, then not the best field for you. So if you want to chill out and relax and have a 30 years long career without any interference of AI, I would say government job, hardware. So if you're really into it, then ISRO, that's it. Indian Space Research Organization, design hardware rocket components for the next 20 years. I don't think any danger or risk to your job. Or go and develop nuclear reactors and heat exchangers in Department of Atomic Energy, or do something like that in DRDO, or even ONGC must have some roles like that. So but then again, like this is the same level of safety versus growth that we have always talked about, and it's the same answer nowadays as well. People have been saying mechanical engineering is evergreen for a long time, and those are all for good reasons. Mechanical engineering has been around for 200 years. Not many branches of engineering can say the same. So that is the reason it is evergreen, because it's the root of all the other engineering fields. And so if you understand the conceptual nuances of mechanical engineering, then it's easier for you to grow and branch out. So I guess this whole discussion gives you some idea based on my industrial experience of how things work. Now maybe you have a better time choosing your branch if you're getting into university, better branch if you are thinking of doing a master's, or if you are in the middle of any of it, how you can develop your expertise depending on what you actually want to do. This was like an overall idea. For sure we can get into much more detail in other podcasts. If you have more topics that you would want me to discuss or get into deeper level in any one of these, feel free to add them down in the comment section. Now finally, my bold prediction, I haven't forgotten about that, because I have a PPT where I've noted down everything that I want to talk about. See, I planned about it. So my bold prediction of what people are not thinking about when they are thinking about AI is that AI is going to eventually get into hardware, and that gateway has not been unlocked yet. And there are few things that you're not considering, that there are a lot of sensors that control hardware, and all the hardwares pretty much have a computer. The rockets have a computer, vehicles have a computer, and these computers, still most of it does not have AI embedded in it, but eventually they'll start putting AI into it. And then the question comes, how the AI actually, through sensors and actuator, control hardware. And this is a field that is going to pop open in the next 5 to 10 years, and might even be sooner. And this is what I think, and that is why I bet on it too. So I'm not totally ready to talk about exactly what I'm doing right now, even though it's pretty public and many people know about it. But I'm not discussing it right now because I want to dedicate a full video of what I'm doing right now. But it's mostly in that domain that I'm integrating now AI into the hardware, and hardware thinking intelligently because of AI. So a lot of interesting videos that are going to come up. I'm going to talk about what I'm doing right now, what I have been doing for the past 5 years. Many people thought that ISRO was the last thing that I did, and then I went for a vacation for 5 years. But no, that's not true. Again, there are people who already know about these things, but I've not talked about it on this YouTube channel. So if you have specific questions related to that, put that in the comment section. I'm ready to talk about all of it. I always had this concept of when you're having a building under construction, it's usually going to have a screen around it, and you don't start showing that building to people when it is under construction. Once it's all said and done, then you can talk about it. So I very rarely talk about what exactly I'm doing right now until it's all done, because I don't want other people to be bothering me when I'm focusing on something else. This is exactly what happened when I was guiding people about BARC entrance examination and their interview, when I was myself preparing for Indian Space Research Organization. Until I was there as a scientist, I never talked about it. And that's like OG fan following who got this channel in 2018, they would know about it. But usually this is how I do, and now I'm ready to talk about exactly what I've been doing and what I will be doing, and that video should be coming out shortly as well. Other than that, I know a lot of questions about the sequel of this book. If you did not know, my book The Boy Who Did Not Sign is available for the past 2 years. Highly rated. Go through the free sample version on Amazon, because it's available on Kindle as well, and you make your decision if you want to buy it or not. But a big question that I've been getting a lot is that when the sequel is going to come out. Like I said, I've been focusing on a lot of different fields, and the book has not been my primary focus, but it's like a hobby, and I keep on working on it. The next book is pretty much set and done. That is the good news. I'm in 11th draft right now, and this book took 15 drafts to write, so you know that I'm pretty close. And not only that, again, I'm going to talk about it in more detail in another 10-minute video, but in short, you do not have to worry about if another book is going to come out or not. At least 4 more books are going to come out in the whole Ashwin Taksh story, and I can guarantee you it's going to come, because I've pretty much written all 4 of them. And for the past 2 to 3 years, that is what I've been doing. It's again one of those things that I like to work silently on, and once it's done, it's out. So the next book is going to connect the first and the 5th book, and more about it in some dedicated video, because I'm not prepared to disclose everything right now. But again, questions you have related to that, something you want me to specifically talk about, put it down in the comment section. And that's pretty much about it, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I really appreciate your support. I love the audience that I got, and happy to answer any of your questions down in the comment section, or even a dedicated talk in the upcoming podcast. See you next time. Till then, bye.